What is happening?
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
Prosecutor there in Georgia. How much champagne do you think she drank last night? Celebrating.
Yes.
Yeah, she was celebrating for sure. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Of course, you know, Trump arrested. But here's the big thing this morning, the 4 words that Trump used to describe what it's like to get his mugshot, one of the things we are playing. Plus, we're going to cover his statement in full. His entire 1-minute statement, I think, is very impactful, very accurate. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri, Feel Good Friday edition. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Man, and the efforts that she had to make to get herself back into the Wake Up Mid-Missouri studios this morning.
She does love us.
She does. There's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Mr. Marsh is here.
Yep, no rappers after Stephanie here. We've got your back.
So, if you hadn't heard, Nicki Minaj and Stephanie Bell. So
they have Twitter beef.
So coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock this morning, we'll talk about great celebrity mugshots of all time after Trump's mugshot yesterday. And then it's Stephanie S. Bell versus Nicki Minaj versus Stephanie Bell.
Have we gotten Stephanie S. Bell's mugshot yet? Can we print that on a T-shirt?
Man, the mugshot. So everybody's talking about the Trump mugshot, and that's kind of interesting. Let's start here. Let's start with his entire statement last night, because he is clarifying and saying what a lot of smart people are saying. A conspiracy to commit election fraud, or just, hey, we're questioning an election. Don't you have that legal right to question an election? That is freedom of speech. That is not conspiracy.
You should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election, and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest.
And Mr. Trump is exactly right to question an election. How is that a conspiracy? Meanwhile, let's talk about some facts here. When he says what they are doing, and I know her name is pronounced Fani Willis, but I can't do it. It sounds weird saying Fani, so I'm going to call her Fani Willis.
It sounds weirder than Fanny?
Yeah, Fani. It just sounds, and it's fake. So apparently one of the things is, and I have a friend who's a talk show host in Florida, been doing it for years, and apparently Ms. Willis for years, Miss Fanny, what you talk about Willis, election conspiracy, had gone by, instead of Fani, she had gone by Fanny. And we're seeing this on the worldwide stage now. She's got bigger political aspirations. She's going after Trump. She went and got her hair did and all that stuff. She went through, as Stephanie likes to call it, the car wash. She got new I shouldn't say mug shots done. She got new glamour shots done.
She took
So
in
we
everything.
could go back. Yeah, we could go back to calling her Big Fanny or Fawny, whichever is appropriate, I guess.
I wonder how many everything showers she took.
So she's running for office, and Trump is also accurate when he says what they are doing is election interference. Now think about this. Remember the court date? She wants the trial to start when? The day before Super Tuesday.
I think she's even now said maybe we could move it up some, and everyone's like, "Excuse me, you weren't even going to get it, at that date. We can't move it up."
And the words that Trump is using to describe what it's like to get his mugshot, not a comfortable feeling. That's what Trump said. Did you see his mugshot? And I don't know nowadays. Now I've had some mugshots in the past. I don't behave that way anymore. But if you were to get arrested, Hannah, I picture that you would be crying in your mugshot.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I hate getting in trouble.
Right. But I've always wondered, like, if you're getting a mugshot for something that's BS like this, do you go up there and smile? Do you wink? I would describe.
Do you wink?
Oh, yeah.
They'd probably make you retake it.
And you keep retaking it, and you just keep, and eventually they get tired, especially if it's on a Friday night and they've got a bunch of other drunks to process. They will eventually scoot you out and say, all right, we get the idea. We get what you look like. But I wonder, and I'll start with you, Brian Houseworth. If you ever got a mugshot, got arrested, what do you think? You'd stand there straight up? Would you smile? What would you do?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I've never thought of that before, obviously.
Have you ever been asked that question
No,
before?
I've not,
Okay.
but it's fair. I will say this. I don't know how to answer that, Brandon, because I've never thought about it. But looking at the president, he came across...
That's why we asked you first.
But no, it's all good. He came across really as defiant. And defiant in that photo, I mean, that's how I would describe the photo.
It's creepy.
And the soundbite you just played, Brandon, when young people won't remember, but we do.
Because you're old.
Well, but it really wasn't all that terribly long ago. Does anybody remember a guy named Al Gore?
Yes.
Does
He
anybody?
invented the internet.
Well, he
invented climate change too.
He contested an election and took it to the U.S. Supreme Court. There's a case called Bush versus Gore, 5-4. And now critics will say it's not the same. And obviously, January 6th is unacceptable. I mean, what happened there with the people, rioting, et cetera, some may dispute it, but whatever happened.
What they did was unacceptable. The idea that it was Trump's fault is false.
And you've made that point. But for President Trump, he was raising the question about, is it fair? Now, that's going to be up to a court or whatever. But my point is, there have been other candidates who have questioned it. And Gore was one that took it to the U.S. Supreme Court, and that almost went to January, as I recall.
Oh, yeah, it was
late.
That was an insane time.
I just stumbled across a great tweet from State Senator Nick Schroer. He said, Fulton County DA, Fannie, as Brandon would say, Fannie Willis is a dollar store version of Kim Gardner.
Whoa. Kim Gardner, former
Pretty good.
district attorney in St. Louis. The other thing, so a lot of folks are talking about his weight. They say he's 6'3", 215 pounds. I don't believe that for a minute. Not 1 minute at all. But it got me to thinking.
You've seen his diet. There's not like an ounce of muscle on his body. So, no, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Is your weight true on your driver's license?
So
Mine is still from when I was 15, I think.
So there's my weight, and you can say it out loud, and that's been on my driver's license.
Say it out
for years.
loud.
Is that a humble
says-
brag because
it says-
you've lost weight?
It says 185.
So for
I'll say it out loud.
a lot of years, it said 185. 3 years ago, I weighed 230 pounds. For years that I've had this license, I've never weighed 185 pounds until now. I actually weigh 175. Now I was up to 230 pounds. My driver's license is not accurate to the good. But
You better go get it. If my driver's license said a weight lower than my actual weight, I would go get a new one.
But if you look at your driver's license, and it talks about your height and weight. For a lot of years, my driver's license in Idaho said I was 5'8". I went to go rent and get some new skis. Yeah. I went to go buy some skis one day, and they measure your height and ability and all that. And the guy says, how tall are you? I said 5'8", and he responded like, exactly.
No, really? How tall are you?
And I'm like, no, I am. Look, it even says it on my driver's license. They measured me. I was 5'6". That was 2004 when I figured out I was not 5'8", 5'6". But if you look at your driver's license, how accurate is it right now? I mean, because what do? You get them updated every 7 years? You have to get them renewed?
I think we should look that up. I don't think 7 is the right answer. I forget what it is. I know mine. I need to. In order to get into the debate, they said you have to have an unexpired license, and I thought, oh my gosh, when was the last time I looked at my license? Same for voting. You want to make sure your license is up to date. But my height is correct. My weight is is wishful thinking.
Well, and Brandon, you want to share your secret to how you lost all that weight?
So I number one, I quit drinking 3 years ago.
Yeah, you did. 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Very good.
Big anniversary this week.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And if you know somebody who drinks and it causes them problems and they can't quit, please reach out to Hannah, 874-9390. I'm more than happy in private to pass along to you what I have learned and what I did. And then I've lost a bunch of weight this year. And what I did there, seriously, and I know this does not work for everybody, but I just started exercising even more and eating less. And I have a hard time eating less. I like to eat. I love food. I
if
really
Brandon
do.
sits at a nice dinner and there is an empty seat next to him, he will eat 2 dinners.
I will.
That is true.
I have seen it.
I enjoy eating. Trump is accurate in that statement. John, any thoughts in seeing this stuff unfold yesterday? I mean, we knew it was coming. Everybody's talking about it.
I thought he did a respectable job of the thug life pose in the mugshot for sure.
It's actually really good. I really like the fact that he's wearing a suit and a tie. I like that. The other thing, you see that light is like coming straight down. His head's tilted kind of down, but if his head would have been tilted up, that light would have been shining right on his face. It really would have not. I'm serious.
That's why I think it's creepy, like the way the light is hitting him.
This is like a good angle for him. Also, like, I don't know that I've ever seen the top of his head before. I would be worried that like it would look really weird. That's probably about as good as you could have gotten.
Hannah, so I have it's a press photo from almost 20 years ago that Hannah from time to time says, "Why are you posing like that?" And it is kind of a typical angry kind of eye kind of cocked and looking down, and it's a black and white photo. And the show did that at the time because we want a sense of attitude. And I looked at Trump like, yeah. That's kind of what it looks like.
And he's looking directly into the camera saying like, I'm here, I think it's very confident actually. And I really like it. If I going back to mugshots, the question is, do you smile? And I think like as a woman, I think it's even harder, but Jenna Ellis, hers actually looks like you could put it on a driver's license.
We'll look at some classic celebrity mugshots over the years, which is incredible on a radio show. Actually, you can also watch the show.
Yeah, Wake Up Mid-Missouri on YouTube, and you can also watch on the Wake Up Facebook page.
Coming up 5 minutes from now, Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
We're getting some numbers back from the debate, not just your typical numbers about how many minutes
encouraged. And let's face it, who was booing me in the crowd last night? Some of the folks who were doing the loudest booing are the people who are invested in the swamp that Donald Trump helped to create for them.
Chris Christie clinging to the thought of getting those 4 electoral votes out of New Hampshire and talking about, I know, right? Well, the cool thing, it's interesting what he is saying there. After Stephanie hung out with us on the show yesterday after attending the debate, Stephanie, being there, saw some very different things than what we all saw. Christie there being asked about getting booed. The question was, did you get the sense? This was from Fox. The question was, did you get the sense that you don't have a chance of winning? And he said, no, not at all. But a great point about who was in the audience. That's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Who was doing the booing? At least part of the time it was me. I was booing a lot when I heard something I didn't like. And I think he's wrong there. I thought the crowd would be much more pro-Trump. And it really wasn't. I did see Carrie Lake really up close and personal, and I know Don Jr. was also in the crowd. Obviously, there were a lot of folks there in support of Trump, but I don't think it was just pro-Trump people in the crowd that were booing him. I think he was just getting a lot of boos because people don't like Chris Christie, and I don't think he has any chance of winning.
And that's the thing, because it's somebody's fault. It's somebody's fault. Somebody doesn't take ownership and say, well, they booed me because they don't like me. That's all. Just don't like me.
Well, they're liking still Vivek Ramaswamy, and I think this could have to do with booing a little bit, but apparently he has raised $450,000 since Wednesday night. Up until now, he's really been self-funding. He's a rich guy anyway. When asked, the other candidates are really being a little bit mum about how much money they raised. They probably don't want to answer that question because it's probably not as much. And when thinking about this, like what, and they said, I think the average donation is $38. And I think in my own life, like, I don't donate a ton of money to candidates, but when have I been compelled? Like, when would I watch a debate and be like, I'm going to give $30 to somebody? That it just seems like a weird thing to me. But I will tell you, when someone really goes after someone I like, that's when I have opened my computer late at night and I'm like, I am sick of this. I'm like, they should stop attacking my friend and the person that I know. And that's when I've opened up my wallet. And so maybe all the heat Vivek got from every person on the stage, people that really like him thought, you know what? I'm going to help this guy out because it seems like everyone else is attacking him and he's cashing in on it.
And John, you and I know the best way to get people to donate to your campaign is like
give them gift cards.
Make it an investment. Send me $1, I'll give you $20 back. Doug Burgum, that's what the mayor of North Dakota did.
And Pence is trying to make headlines still. Apparently, he was saying Donald Trump should join everyone on the stage. And at least this article is saying he delivered a surprisingly pointed performance Wednesday night. Hannah, I heard you say you were not impressed.
I was not.
All right. Well, Pence is trying to stay relevant but not reporting any fundraising numbers, clearly. Also, Donald Trump is back on X. He tweeted his first message in more than 2.5 years, but he says he still loves all of his Truth Social people.
So can we say that Pence is none the richer?
Sixpence,
Yes.
Michael Pence, none the richer. It's very good, Hannah. It's only 6:30 here on a Feel Good Friday. Hannah's already at it. Coming up just
Not in the abstract, they don't. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are difference.
George
the planet
Carlin.
is fine.
Classic stuff. Interesting. So we know about the Hawaiian wildfire. There's another lawsuit against the Hawaiian Electric, I should say. They're saying that's what caused the blaze. They are responsible down power lines when they knew they should have been off. And it's interesting because everybody, of course, on the networks, well, it's climate change. It's climate change. Well, it's not climate change. Number one of the biggest reasons, you had a power company that knew, hey, we had a little wildfire. You should have shut down the power. They didn't do that. And people say, well, it's the deadliest. It is climate change. Well, it's deadly because the people had no warnings whatsoever. And one of the other big things, there's so much grass and vegetation there because they quit grazing for animals. So it's got nothing to do with climate change. And ideally, those TV stations will come out today and say, hey, we got it wrong. Here's the facts. Matter of fact, the electric company getting sued. Welcome to the show. It's a feel-good Friday. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah is here.
Hello.
There's Mr. Marsh.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Interesting way to put Joe Biden's age in perspective. And it took a congressman from Wisconsin. His name is Mike Gallagher. And what he said, it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. We're going to be doing that. And then there's a Pettis County operator chatting with ABC 17 about the insults she gets because they passed in Sedalia. They passed an ordinance to stop harassment of 911 dispatchers. And she talked to ABC 17 and she shares some of the names that she gets called. One of them we even have to bleep. The other one, I'm surprised. It was like the one insult that really bothered her, and it has to do with politics and generations, kind of. It's really good. We'll get into that a few minutes from now here on a Feel Good Friday. Something we could do for you, 874-9390, 874-9390. I want to say hello to Dennis this morning. Dennis on a Feel Good Friday. Enjoy waking up to mid-mo while I'm on the road working in Illinois. He says, thank you guys for starting my days away from home with news and information so I can stay informed on my community of mid-Missouri. Dennis, listening in Illinois this morning. Bloomington, Illinois, to be specific. Want to welcome in a familiar voice here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Ashley Emmel, Compass Chiropractic, and being a part of Wake Up Mid-Missouri from time to time when Stephanie's not here and running Compass Chiropractic and all the other things she does. That's not the only thing she does. She's heavily involved with True North. This is a center that deals with domestic violence for women. Big fundraiser on our sister station today, KCMQ. Ashley, welcome. What are you guys doing today?
Good morning. So we're doing a radiothon on 96.7 KCMQ. Shags has put that on for us as he did last year, and it's a really big event for a really good cause. So I hope you guys can tune in and donate and support this amazing organization that I'm part of.
So you've been involved with them for a while, and what does the money go for? Because there's the center, but it's more than just about having just a place for people that are victims of domestic violence. It's more than just having a place to go. There's other expenses.
There are. I mean, there's more expenses. So counseling services, helping put food on the tables, getting out of certain situations. We can help, get those legal things arranged for you. There's so many things that True North does. There's a 24/7 hotline as well, which there's a lot of calls in mid-Missouri. And as we've talked in the news recently, several domestic violence events resulting in death recently, including, I like to talk about Josie and Allison Abbott's 2 years ago. Their anniversary was actually on the 22nd. Family friends of ours, I will never forget the day that my mom called to let me know that they were murdered. And I had just seen them multiple times. Weeks previous.
And unfortunately with domestic violence, and I don't understand this. My first wife did a lot of work with the domestic violence shelter, so I'm kind of intimately familiar with what you do and don't do. But it's one of the things I learned from it. It's like, it's like shame. Mm-hmm. A victim feels shamed, and that breaks my heart knowing, gosh, man, there's nothing to be ashamed of, and there are resources where you can get some help.
Yeah, I think in your event every year, the Little Black Dress event is so powerful. I've had the opportunity to attend with you. And, it's amazing. You sit around a room. It's a huge room full of people that, mostly know each other. And we've had these really powerful stories from local women that get up and say, I'm ready to tell my story. And people said, I've known you and I had no idea your story. And it's just powerful work, what you're doing, not only in, the work you're doing every day with the women, but in encouraging others to tell their stories, to kind of try to eliminate the shame and make sure people feel comfortable to tell their story.
And there's a lot of backers for this big event happening on our sister station, 96.7 KCMQ. Country star Tyler Farr.
What's up, y'all? It's Tyler Farr here. I just want to say how much I appreciate y'all taking a stance against domestic violence, especially in my home state of Missouri. I appreciate you girls so much. And everything you're doing, it's awesome.
Tyler Farr from Missouri, great country musician. They're doing that all morning long. You'll be popping in and out and letting folks here know how they can help.
Yes, I definitely will be.
And personally, we appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
For True North. Ashley Emmel, regular here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. We appreciate what it is you're doing and excited to be checking in and out throughout the morning. Representative Mike Gallagher, he's a Republican from Wisconsin. He's on Fox. They're talking about China and the implications. We talk about China, but the implications of being a worldwide leader. And this is important because one of the biggest things Stephanie and I had been on, we said, listen, if y'all elect Joe Biden, one of the biggest hits we are going to take is on a worldwide stage. Where we stand on the planet is important. We've lost a lot of standing. There's other countries that stand around and they're laughing, and they're pointing fingers at us. I feel like I was in the second grade and people would laugh at my nose because it's shaped like a ski slope. People would laugh because I was a chubby little kid. That's what being an American almost feels like now. No matter how proud I am to be an American, that's what Joe Biden has done. Check out Representative Mike Gallagher's take.
And so if we want to prevent a war with China, we'll need a stronger commander-in-chief and a more lethal military. And Biden seems not to get that. Biden is, in fact, older than the People's Republic of China, which was established in 1949. Biden is 7 years older.
I had never considered that before. Joe Biden is older than China. So we got to looking. China's not, Joe Biden's older than the tri-level as I think about this now. He's older than the tri-level.
There's some similarities there as well.
Right. The tri-level is...
watch where it leads you, right?
Yeah, and slightly less jacked up than Joe Biden is.
And it all kind of settles to the left a little bit.
Joe Biden is older than Indonesia, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, South Korea, North Korea, Libya, Ghana, Malaysia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Bahamas, Grenada, Mozambique. I mean, there's a whole list of countries that the president of the United States is older than. Now, the thing, and it's not just the age, it's the brain.
Yeah, how many of those countries do you think he could name or put on a map? I mean, I'd probably struggle a little bit with some of those.
I was going to say, a couple years ago on the show, we tried to label all 50 U.S. states, and a couple of us struggled.
Oh, come
even
on.
with the U.S.
Brad Trinaga, who plies his trade now with Mizzou Sports, former Wake Up Mid-Missouri family member, he got all 50.
Which, of course, he did, just knowing Brad.
Of course he did. And out of the four folks here on the show, he was the only one that got all 50. I will say I came in second place, though.
I did.
I did.
Did you sing? Did you sing the song?
What
Isn't there a
song?
state song?
I think there is.
There's a state song. It's like a children's song that goes through.
He did not do that for us, but
No?
it would have been fun.
See, I did really well until I got up to the New England states that are all tiny and smushed together. That's where I fell.
I would struggle. I've never been up there, and I think if you've been to a state, maybe you have a better idea, hopefully. But the state capitals too, that one I struggle with.
I knew him in the third grade when supposedly it was important that I know what is every state capital, and I had to list them in a test. And okay, great, I know what I couldn't do it today. I don't know how many state capitals I could name, and nor would I care.
Jefferson City.
So what's your answer? I mean, the whole thing with Biden being old, I was honestly shocked at the debate when they said, do you think there should be a test? And everyone was just like, oh no, which, probably is like the PC answer. But then they didn't circle back because Nikki Haley was the one who proposed that in the first place. And I wanted to hear her kind of double down on that. But
are you that surprised that a bunch of old guys said no?
Right.
But somebody said something interesting about I look, and we've had folks here on the show on Wake Up Mid Missouri that have come in that have taken the citizenship test. We've had folks that were immigrants here. They've gone through the legal process of becoming a United States citizen, and I admire these people. When I was in Florida, we were in district courthouse. Would go at least twice a year to the swearing-in ceremonies. You'd have 100 people busted their tails to become a citizen of the United States of America, and that to me, that's amazing because Ashley, you and I didn't have to do anything to become a citizen of America. I got fortunate. My parents happened to be here, and boom, here I am. And the folks, what they have to do, including passing a citizenship test, I think is incredibly remarkable. Welcome to the show. It's a Feel Good Friday. Some of the things we are working on for you this morning. How would you do your mugshot? Also looking at some of the greatest celebrity mugshots of all time. The 2 debate winners, according to polling just hours after last night's debate. And we consider the legal question, can you be charged for being a dumbass? Those are some of the stories we're working on for you this morning. Also, I want to highlight this story. This is out of Pettis County, a 911 operator. Her name is Danielle Louder, and there's an ordinance passed in Pettis County saying basically, listen, man, we'll get you if you start jacking with our 911 operators. And coming up a few minutes from now, and she lists some of the insults that she gets, but the one that she seemed really bothered by, it was kind of political and generational. You got to hear this coming up 5 minutes from now here on Wake Up Mid Missouri. Rob is in Columbia this morning. Rob, your thoughts on Joe Biden?
Well, he's older than Hawaii. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
1959, Hawaii becomes a state, so he's older than Hawaii. So maybe that's why he couldn't figure out what to say when he was a Maui.
More perspective, Rob. What are you feeling good about on a Feel Good Friday?
You know what? I'm feeling good that it's going to be 81, I think, on Sunday, and I can finally cut my yard.
Amen. Tomorrow, hey, we appreciate you, bud. You have a great weekend. 85 tomorrow, maybe 80 by the time we get to Sunday. Some perspective, it's 80 right now. Good morning.
Down 257, S&P 500 down 60.
Coming up 8:25, Morning Bell. We'll look at your futures right before the stock market opens. Do you believe in karma, by the way? I'm Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, producer Hannah, John Marsh is here, and Ashley Emmel, regular here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, is joining us. Is something really cool happening on our sister station, 96.7 KCMQ. What are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing the radiothon for True North of Columbia, so pop over there, listen. We would love for you to make a donation and help us amazing.
Or don't do that.
Or don't do that.
Or call the number. We don't want you to leave the morning show and go over and listen. But I'm asking about karma as it relates to finances. Dude in Washington won $717,000 from the state lottery. Earlier that day, he's a mail carrier. He shows up to work, and he's getting ready to go to work, strap on the mail bag, and bring you your mail, and he hears this kitten meowing from some remote spot, and he searches frantically around. Eventually finds the kitten trapped in a tight space, removes the kitten from its predicament, and he thought, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. Dude won $700,000+. Do you believe in karma, Steph? Do you think if I do good things will come back to me?
I think more of it in the reverse.
In the bad way, John?
Yeah, so I was waiting for the kicker to say, when they looked into the guy, he owed $717,000 in back taxes he had to pay.
What about you, Ashley?
Oh, I believe in karma for sure. Doesn't Taylor Swift have that new song?
She's got a
Karma
song,
was a cat.
No, karma for sure. Big believer.
There's a great song by the Beatles that's called The End, and at the end of the song they say the love that you give or the love you make is equal to the love that you take. There's a book by Eckhart Tolle that I read, almost 15 years ago. And it's called The Power of Now.
You read a book?
I did. I read it.
Wow.
Is it audio?
No.
Picture book?
Well, it's funny because people say, well, do you read? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, what's the last thing you read? And I'm like, foxnews.com.
The news.
The weather.
I read the web every day. But is what this guy argues, there's like the law of gravity. Mm-hmm. If Ashley Emmel were to get up on the roof here and step off the building, what's going to happen?
I'm going to fall.
Every single time. There will be no exception because it is a law, right? And this guy, Eckhart Tolle, makes the case that the power of positive thinking is the exact same thing. I don't know that I completely buy into that, but he makes the argument it is a law just as much as there is the law of gravity. Now, I will say this. I did what the book said. I read through the book, read it twice, and this was 2006, 2007. I did it. What was suggested in the book. And I'm not kidding. I had some remarkable things happen in life. Very powerful book about the power of positive thinking.
Younger people call that manifesting.
Manifest. Yeah, there's all kinds of different words. It's the same thing, though, right?
My mother-in-law always says, words have life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Is Eckhart Tolle, though, also, I have read a lot of his stuff, but is he the one that did the water study on positive thinking as well? Have you seen this?
I'm not sure, but it might be worth
See, the thing about the roof and the thing that I like to tell people about karma when we're talking about the reverse, I had to look this up, but especially some people in their dating life, it says everything happens for a reason. Sometimes the reason is you're stupid and make bad decisions. And that's kind of how I think about, if you're going to step off a roof and think you're going to fly, probably not.
Sometimes.
That's right. Karma will come home to roost.
It sure will.
We have to simplify it sometimes. Sedalia City Council has issued an ordinance to stop harassment of 911 dispatchers. They're having to do it because it is a problem. There's by the way, 911 dispatchers now in Missouri being recognized and honored as first responders. We talk cops, firefighters, EMTs, and 911 operators. Chatting with ABC 17, Danielle Lauder, Pettis County 911 Joint Communications Director, talking about some of the names that they get called throughout the course of the day.
I have answered calls, and I have been held hostage with some of these people, and I have been labeled a white entitled.
Whoa! But then it gets even better. The insult, apparently she really took exception to. She was chatting with Mitchell Kaminsky of ABC 17. She says, quote, "I have a very soft phone voice, and I have been labeled an immature millennial." That's the one that, hey, call me white, call me the B word, call me whatever you want.
Don't call me a millennial.
Wow. I thought that was, and God bless these 911 operators. What they do is just incredible because they are the very first line. They are the ones that take the call when you're very likely at a bad moment in time. If you call a 911, yeah.
I think that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I think that's what set Vivek Ramaswamy off when they called him a rookie, right? When they called him basically a millennial, they said, "Hey, get off the stage, millennial."
They're going to degrade themselves by doing a mugshot of me. Like, people will recognize me. And of course, they can fingerprint me, but I've been fingerprinted 150 times.
So Rudy Giuliani said, I've been fingerprinted for security clearance services, things like that. So these guys, they're now getting their mugshots, and apparently Giuliani financially not doing so well. There have been reports he's been at Mar-a-Lago begging Trump for some of the money that he apparently owes him for legal services, and Trump is saying, well, you didn't win those cases, man. I'm not gonna pay you. I don't know the way that I don't know if that's the way it works. So what did you think of the mugshot?
I liked it.
He's got kind of that, I'm going to fight you kind of look. Hannah, your take?
It's a little creepy and unsettling.
Hannah says it's creepy. Hannah thinks winking at people is creepy, too, though.
I think winking at people is creepy. It could have been so much worse. Think about it.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
I was also telling Ashley it's weird to see someone in a full suit, like in a mugshot.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 0700 report, not to compare it, the 0700 report, but that's what I look at every day.
So you can go to websites for local county arrest reports, who's in the jail, and they post the mugshots.
Exactly. And I guarantee you on an average day, there's no one on that list, because I check it every day that's in a suit and tie. I can't remember the last time, so it is very, very rare. Sometimes they don't have a shirt on. I mean, it just depends.
They have to get the cape or whatever.
Yeah.
So Greitens was not wearing a tie.
Last guy was Bernie Madoff.
Greitens was wearing a coat in no tie.
No tie.
I think it was a dress shirt.
And his was not very good. He kind of had like a lazy eye thing going, if you recall.
Yeah.
And then
he
exactly.
did. Yeah, he did.
It'll be posted, so whenever you see these famous mugshots of all time, so we're talking about famous mugshots of all time, which is great, being on a radio show, but you can actually watch.
Yeah, Wake Up in Missouri on YouTube, and you can watch us on the Wake Up Facebook page.
It's interesting. So Nick Nolte, if you're watching, you can see that probably one of the...
that was a classic, wasn't it?
Classic. Mm-hmm. So much so, Ashley Emmel, who hangs out with us from time to time, showed up, and her question, looking at the Nick Nolte mugshot, where he's like in a Hawaiian shirt, and his hair is just frayed beyond belief. He looks like a stereotypical homeless man. Ashley's question was, is he still alive?
It's such an old photo.
It really is.
Ashley Emmel, who joins us from time to time on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, doing something really cool this morning. Big event happening on one of our sister stations on 96.7 KCMQ.
Yeah, I'm Radiothon, so we would love for you to call in and make a donation. 815-7516. Help a good cause today.
And it's for True North. True North, something Ashley Emmel has been involved on a personal level for several years now. And this is, we say it's not just a shelter. There's a lot of services as it relates to domestic violence. The work that you guys do there is important. The phone number, one more time, if you would like to donate.
815-7516.
Now, our phone number here in the studio, 874-9390. Steve is in Columbia this morning. Mugshots. What's up, Steve?
Hey, buddy. Hey, did anybody say anything about the mugshot of Tiger Woods?
No, that has not come up this morning.
Okay. Well, that was a pretty bad-looking mugshot.
It was in 2009.
I think he was sitting in his car, wasn't he?
Well, you're talking about the
when he was loaded, doped up, and alcohol, I guess.
Yeah, so he was
2009.
He'd been,
as I recall.
Yeah, he'd been busted for it. He was parked on the side of the road or something. What was memorable about that mugshot, Steve?
He looked confused.
He looks half asleep.
Yeah.
I Googled it.
He always looks confused.
Hey, Steve, what are you grateful for on a Feel Good Friday?
Oh, the weather that's coming.
Amen. Tomorrow's high 86 degrees. Sunday, we might be lucky.
Thanks,
if we get to 80. Steve, we appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. One of the things I feel good about today, Stephanie Bell has made it back after being at the big debate the other night. Interesting take, because Stephanie was there and saw it, and she had a very different take than I think the universal agreement. Hannah, where we were all rock solid in who we thought, watching it on TV, who we thought won the debate.
Vivek.
Yeah. Stephanie was there, and she said on the show yesterday, she's like, I got a different take. Polling numbers, as reported by Fox immediately after, I think 700-plus Republican voters said that the winner of the debate, Ron DeSantis.
Really? Interesting. I
thought he laid an egg, honestly.
did not. Man, that really surprised. And Hannah, I don't know that he laid an egg, but it was just an average performance. Nothing really stuck out to me.
Yeah, kind of in the background, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course the moderators asked questions of all of them, but and again, maybe in the arena it was different. Stephanie feels differently, but I thought it was Ramaswamy too.
He came off awkwardly, I think, on TV.
He being Ramaswamy?
No, DeSantis. And in person. But I think he's saying all the right things, and I think he gets a bump just from his record. I really thought people would attack him more, honestly. But, I mean, no one can argue with what he's done in Florida, and I think that's going to... So I think that's all he needed to do was have an average performance, and Brandon, I think you asked, did your mind change? I think people that walked into that room, and I sat right next to somebody who said, we work for DeSantis, we're DeSantis people all the way, and I think there are a lot of DeSantis people in the audience. If you were a DeSantis person coming in, you thought he was the winner, your mind was not changed one bit.
Yeah, but one thing, too, I actually had the TV on watching the debate, and then I'd turn it down and I'd keep the Eagle on and listen to the radio. And DeSantis sounded better on the radio. Maybe it's just
100%.
He did. But keep in mind, in 1960, John F. Kennedy debated Richard Nixon, and the television audience said JFK won the debate. The radio audience, which still a lot of people listen to, said it was Richard Nixon. So maybe it was just DeSantis I thought looked better, but on the radio, DeSantis sounded better than he did on TV, and that's just me. Maybe others feel differently.
John, you remember, of course, Nixon Kennedy, the first televised debate.
That's the one, and they beat up on Tricky Dick for having the 5 o'clock shadow going on.
Right, because prior to that, it had always been you listened on the radio, and up to the point of that debate, it was Nixon leading, and people for the first time really ever got to see two presidential candidates debating, and when they saw Kennedy on TV, completely flipped the script. We're also glad you're back, because not only were you battling traffic and airlines trying to get back home to mid-Missouri, you were battling Nicki Minaj. The case of Stephanie S. Bell versus Nicki Minaj versus Stephanie Bell. How did you end up on Nicki Minaj's Twitter page, man?
I am sitting at dinner, a nice dinner place, about a block away from the debate, just trying to mind my own business, and all of a sudden my phone starts pinging a whole lot. And it is like it's in response to a tweet of just my badge for the debate, and it's like it literally says things like "step outside, ho," or like "we're coming for you." I mean,
are we allowed to say that?
People, I don't know. People are really mad, real mad, and they're like, "Watch your back," and really mean things. And I'm like, "What is happening?" I'm like, are they mad that I'm a Republican? Like, I don't see anyone else is getting.
Did you get a little seriously? Were you like a little frightened?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sitting with our friend Jennifer Bukowski, and we're both like, "Oh my goodness! Like, are we safe? Like, are they here? Like, I don't know." But I'm thinking there's so much security right here anyway. Like, we probably are pretty safe.
One of the responses I saw said, "We have your address." I don't know if you saw that one.
And I couldn't figure out if they were these people were already in Milwaukee, and Stephanie Bell in Milwaukee had done something bad, and they were actually there looking for me. I don't know.
Nicki Minaj, if you're not familiar with Nicki Minaj, big top 40 artist.
Well, and she has a very loyal following, apparently called the Barbs, which is I think a reference to her Barbie World song. Anyway, so Nicki Minaj had tweeted out somebody swatted her, which is kind of what they did to that old lady in the newspaper, but it was a false call, and they said, I think they called basically our version of DFS on Nicki Minaj, and we're sending the cops to her house. And so Nicki Minaj sent out a tweet that said, "Stephanie Bell, we filed charges against you, blah, blah, blah." So
there's a warrant out for your arrest, I think.
For swatting, which I had to learn what that all was. So anyway, so Nicki Minaj named me basically with my really plain Jane name in a tweet, and then they thought it was me. But they quickly... So I was like, do I delete this tweet? If I delete it, do they go away? I don't know what to do. And am I in danger? And very quickly, so I just tweeted my only connection to her. And I just said, "Hey, look, I don't know what's going on. My only connection to her is one time I was in Las Vegas. I walked into a store and I tried on a coat, and they said, 'Hey, you sold, this was her coat. She wore this coat yesterday.' And I was like, I gotta have it. So I do have one of her coats, but not her actual coat. People on Twitter thought she returned it, and I have her actual coat, not it. Anyway, now we've turned them into, but they like Republicans. And so now they're like, yes, our white Republican queen is what they've been calling me. And they've been tweeting MAGA. And apparently she has a song that has some like, everyone's got a Republican doctor lyrics. So now everyone's tweeting that at me too. And so now we're all friends and they're actually so sweet. And they're like, sorry. But it got really hateful. And for them to rise up and say, sorry, we got your back. We love you.
You should call that sweet. Some of Nikki's beefs with like Megan the Stallion and Miley Cyrus and got them to go to bat for you.
And that's the story of Stephanie S. Bell versus Nicki Minaj versus Stephanie Bell. It was another Stephanie Bell that they were going after. Coming up a few minutes from now, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah.
I feel deceived and a little heartbroken about a state fair treasure.
That's coming up just a few minutes from now on a Feel Good Friday.
It's 7:26.
This hasn't happened in a
Almost
while.
7:27.
So here's proof. So when Stephanie comes back, this is when we fall behind on what's hot with Hannah.
I'm blaming that on Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, I will say that the Nicki Minaj story was probably worth it. We're going to the state fair, though, and anyone who's been to the Missouri State Fair probably has seen the gigantic butter cow. They do something a little different every year, and they kind of make the butter cow in the window of the display at this ice cream shop, and it's one of the state fair staples. Like, if you go to the state fair, you have to go see the butter cow. The butter cow at the Illinois and Iowa state fairs has gone viral this week on Twitter, and people are feeling very deceived because a picture was posted of a butter cow being disassembled, and you can very clearly see that it has like a metal frame underneath it. And I don't know about you guys, but I was under the impression that the whole cow was like one hunk of butter. And it makes sense, I guess, that there's a frame underneath it because, you know, a hunk of butter probably isn't very structurally sound. But people are upset and because they feel like our whole life has been a lie.
So you thought it was like an ice sculpture or something where they started with a big thing.
Kind of, sort of, I guess. But they start with a, you know, mesh and metal frame, and they add like 500 or 600 pounds of butter to the frame, which, as I'm saying it out loud, again, makes sense. But my whole life, I've thought that it was all butter.
Says the college grad who has a degree in ag sciences.
Yeah, but, I mean, what about you guys? Am I alone in this?
No, I would have thought it was a complete chunk of butter.
I'm kind of excited that it's more like a butter piñata. Like you could fill it full of candy or something fun. It's like a paper mache
Chocolate
thing.
milk.
Yeah, the Illinois State Fair actually has on their website the process of building a butter cow, and they clearly state that it starts with, you know, a metal and wooden frame. So I guess it's not really been a secret this whole time, but it still feels like jarring and shocking.
You mean the tooth?
And also, I feel really dumb.
The tooth fairy isn't real? I feel your pain, man. You're on a Feel Good Friday. Coming up 8:10 this morning, Libby Couper has a dad. His name is Lee Rainey. He was a World War II veteran. He was on this week's honor flight, and she's here to talk about what an
They're like, let's match Biden's energy on the response. Can we get him an espresso? Here's the thing about Biden. He starts so strong in his speeches. You know what I mean? He starts so strong and confident, but then he will whisper the most important part of the speech, right? We're just the greatest country in the world. We're gonna build back better. But we need to stop systematic racism.
That's pretty good. Welcome into the show. That, by the way, that is the comedy of Tyler Fisher. Welcome into a feel-good Friday. Stephanie Bell is here.
Good morning.
There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Marsh is here.
Yep.
My name is Branden Rathert.
Yup. Sounds like he's at an auction.
874-9390. 874-9390. As a matter of fact, we might open up the listener mailbag here in a few minutes because people are reacting to Stephanie Bell's Nicki Minaj Twitter story. Stephanie getting cold hard threatened by a rap star while she was in Milwaukee. Case mistaken identity, is that kind of what it boils down to?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I think, by the way, and if you would like to follow Stephanie on Twitter, at Stephanie S. Bell. So here's what happened. It had to do something with, there's another Stephanie Bell, and Nikki's throwing heat at her, but you get in the mix. And
they thought it was me for a minute. And
it was cool. So people were just saying some real, and Hannah was on this yesterday, and What's Hot with Hannah, but people were saying some really nasty, dark things. But then what happened when they learned that, oh, wait, wrong Bell?
And they said, whoops, we got the wrong girl. And so I said, hey, we all make mistakes. Only love to all my fellow queens. Because they had started calling me a queen. They're like, sorry, queen. And so then they said, help me. The Barbs, which I think is like their, the Swifties, made a friend with a Republican politician. We all got a Republican doctor, which that line is actually a line out of a Nicki Minaj song. And like this other gal tweets, sorry, queen, MAGA. And so I guess if I would have stereotyped Nicki Minaj fans, I would have thought they would have then just been like, oh, this Republican lady, yikes, And then they're like, yes, queen, we are all voting for Stephanie. And they said, make sure you tell Fox News that Nicki's new album drops soon. And so they're just, and then we all support our white Republican queen. And so it's almost like, anyway, now we're all friends. They're like, if you need anything, like our bad, we got your back. And I think it's great.
It's so cool because people sometimes, we do pass judgment on people or we stereotype. And this is a situation where potentially it doesn't always work. But all these people where they were threatening to kill you. And then they're like, oh, no, we got your back. Never mind.
Well, and the other thing I would say is somebody who checked in with me, who's been on our show, is our friend John Combest. And he's got that whole book about what happens when the internet goes crazy and trolls and whatever. And he's like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, and so kind of talked to me about it. And his whole book was about how, when someone's really in the thick of this whole internet craze that can just rain down on you unexpectedly, check in with your people, and he was checking in with me saying like, and I said, do I delete this or do I just like say my truth, which is I don't have any idea what's happening here. And it worked out in my favor. Thank goodness. It's not that great for everyone else, but
I'm just a little old white girl from Ashland, Missouri, man. That's all.
And I got no beef with Nikki. I'm good. We're good. So
that's good. So
she wants her coat back.
I don't have her actual coat.
Point of the story is Stephanie Bell and Nicki Minaj. Stephanie Bell of Wake Up Mid-Missouri and Nicki Minaj. They've settled their beef.
Letters.
All right, let's do the mailbag.
I get letters.
Beef.
So many letters.
Cows.
A whole bunch of letters.
Butter cows.
I'd even read mail from a cow.
874-93. We don't get any mail. We don't get any letters. Occasionally, we do get some emails. When people are really angry, we get emails. But I think your story is pretty cool because we have two different texts and an actual email coming up this morning, 8:35, when we do winners and losers of the week. You got somebody you'd like to nominate for a winner of the week locally, nationally, please get that texted in to us, 874-9390. And Hannah, of course, when it comes to losers, we really only have one rule.
You can't nominate Biden because that is a given.
874-9390. Some of the texts we're getting, What's Hot with Hannah was, and I had never thought about this, Hannah, but I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do What's Hot with Hannah every morning, 7:25-ish, something kind of fun and different.
Yeah, this morning it was like breaking news this week out of the Illinois and the Iowa State Fairs. And the butter cow that they have at the Missouri State Fair every single year? It's like a must-see destination. The butter cow at Gherkins.
Got to get the selfie with the butter cow.
Exactly. Apparently, those are not made out of one giant chunk of butter, like many of us would maybe believe.
Guilty.
Yeah, a photo of them taking down one of the butter cows went viral because you can clearly see that there's like mesh and metal and wood underneath.
Because if you call it the mesh wood and butter cow, there's not the same appeal as the butter cow.
And as I'm saying this out loud for the first time this morning, it makes sense logically, but my whole life I guess I just assumed it was one big hunk of butter.
And folks are responding via text.
Yeah, Teresa is with me. She said, I thought the same. I may need to call in sick to work today.
Teresa, we'll sign the note for you, girl. You just tell them when you get into work, say, well, listen, Hannah and Steph and Marsh and everybody on Wake Up Mid-Missouri said that I could call in sick because my mind has been blown knowing this morning, learning. See, these are the important things we cover here on the show. How many people thought mistakenly that a butter cow was a complete rock-solid thing of butter? And this is why what we do here is incredibly important.
Also, the next weirdest thing is apparently they recycle the butter.
Oh, gross.
That is put on the butter cow.
I was just getting ready to say, the people that we heard from that store the cheap butter in their freezer and have pounds and pounds and pounds, they knew it wasn't solid butter because they know that price of butter. And they're like, they had to have known. But that, I mean, why? So they reuse it from year to year or like from fair to fair?
It didn't clarify, but it said it can be reused for up to 10 years. So I don't know if it's butter solely meant for the butter cow and not consumed.
Don't lick the butter cow, in other words,
yeah.
right?
And then we have people like listener Doug, who just has to be smarter than all of us. He said, I guess I am the only person here in Central Missouri that is, he hasn't heard of a butter cow. I thought he was going to, I did a golden rule. I broke my golden rule.
Which is, do not read the text on air until you've pre-read it. Don't worry, I don't follow the rule either, so you don't have to either.
I thought Doug was going to say he was the only person that knew it wasn't all butter. But no, he hasn't heard of the butter cow. Doug, come on.
Stuart wants to know, Stephanie, when you were in Milwaukee and you were getting threatened by Nicki Minaj and her barbs, were you packing? Stuart wants to know.
I was not. If you recall, the rules were very strict. I had a purse that like could hold an ID and money. And literally I was complaining my feet hurt. They're like, you should have brought an extra pair of shoes. I'm like, where exactly would I literally, my purse, I took like my kid's purse. I think 4 by 6 by 1.
Did it have to be clear?
It did not have to be clear, but I think it had a lip gloss, a piece of gum, a business card, and an ID, and that was it.
The important stuff, ID and lip gloss.
I mean, come on.
Betty, 874-9390. I thought it was solid, too. John, did you think that the butter cow was solid?
Crushed.
I never really thought about it that hard.
I'm a news director. I've been practicing journalism for 30 years here in Mid-Missouri, you guys. I don't think of these things, whether the
I was busy chasing Ronald Reagan. I guess they took the detour around the butter cow.
Well, and I guess I should say the article that I posted on the Wake Up Facebook page is solely talking about the Iowa State Fair and the Illinois State Fair. But there are a couple lines in the article that lead me to believe it's a universal thing. I don't know.
Something to keep in mind when we go back to the state fair.
Sorry
to get Chris Chin back on the radio, Steph.
I know, we really do. And if it is truly a hollow cow, then I think we should fill it with something, like a piñata, like candy. You should be able to
piñata.
Walk up to the butter cow. You should be able to push
cream.
a button, and something should come out.
Which end? 874-9390. Coming up, a couple of things we're doing for you this morning, 8:10. We have this a listener who reached out to us the other day. Her father, we do the Central Missouri Honor Flight thing every year, and very cool what they do. They take veterans to Washington, D.C. at no expense to the veterans. And it's not a field trip. It's just this wonderful thing that they do. And these veterans, more often than not, they're like, my goodness, I got to hang out with a bunch of my people. I got to hang out with people and talk about things that I hadn't talked about in a long time. Very just incredible what they do. Well, this young lady by the name of Libby said, hey, my dad, who is a World War II veteran, they don't get a whole lot of those anymore on the Central Missouri Honor Flights. World War II veteran went on the flight, and she's, my goodness, what it's done is just amazing. She's going to be sharing her story about 8:10, and then 8:35, winners and losers of the week. Rick is texting he says Tim Scott, but I don't know if he's picking him for winner or loser following the debate. So According to most of the show here, we said the winner of the debate, me, Hannah, and Marsh, said Vivek Ramaswamy. And you said being there because you had a different perspective. Who do you think won the debate?
I think it was a tie.
Between DeSantis and Vivek.
Yeah.
All right. Rick he's got Tim Scott. Is he going to be in the winner column or the loser column? We'll find out. Catherine, I thought the butter cow was solid, and that's why it's in the air-conditioned barn. That's right, Catherine. My goodness, we could spend hours on this. But we got to scoot along. We're going to be doing, and that would be all except for this. What do you have for us, John?
Somebody is going after the surfers
Get into the opening bell, morning bell, business news. Little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. We're going to be doing, of course, we do it every morning here at 8:25 on the show. One of the other things coming up a little bit later this morning, we are going to be doing winners and losers. Get your nominations in 874-9390 and then 810, the daughter of a World War II veteran, talking about his amazing experience on the Central Missouri Honor Flight earlier this week.
And that would be all, except for this.
Look out, bro. This Barney is trying to crease your stick. An aggressive sea otter in California hassling the locals by riding boards she's stealing from surfers in the lineup. Steamer Lane, a big point break along the shores of Santa Cruz, where a lot of the big dog surfers hang out, as well as a 5-year-old female sea otter with a growing reputation for confronting surfers and kayakers. The video shows the otter hoisting itself out of the ocean and onto boards with surfers on them. Sometimes she chews on them. Sometimes she bites at the surfers and takes their boards away from them. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service guys say there have been no confirmed reports of injury, but due to the highly unusual behavior of this otter, kayakers, surfers, and others should stay clear of her. One surfer said, "Where are the men in gray suits when you need them?" which refers, of course, to the great whites that like to hang around up there. And now you know the rest of that surfer's tale, especially if you're a Jake and can't handle the big stuff.
When was the last time you heard the phrase, an aggressive otter? Yeah, here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and that would be all except for this with John Marsh. There was a story of a shark that washed ashore in Idaho on the Salmon River. And it's a salmon shark, and they are, you can find them on the west coast in the Washington area. Now, there are some cases of sharks, specifically bull sharks along the Gulf Coast. They can swim up rivers. As a matter of fact, they've been found in portions of the Mississippi River and in rivers and tributaries along the Gulf Coast. Bull sharks apparently for a while, to an extent, can swim up water for a little ways because of the salinity balance, whatever. But they're suspecting that this thing in Idaho, it was just a prank. Somebody apparently caught a shark and then went and dumped it on a river in Idaho. 874-9390, 874-9390. Everybody back in school. How are things going back at school, and are you paying attention to what's happening in schools? In Staunton River High School, this is in Virginia. Kid's name is Christopher Harless. He is dropping out of school, and here's why. He's going to do homeschooling. I shouldn't say he's dropping out. He's switching schools. He's doing homeschooling. Here's why. He's got a pick-em-up truck, and he likes to drive around with an American flag on it. The high school said, hey, can you quit driving around with an American flag on your truck? Quit driving around with the flag that is American. That I don't understand. Why would you tell somebody that they can't drive around with an American flag? No more than you would tell somebody they can't fly a flag outside of their building. Why would you do that? Well, you know why, because people get triggered. Here's him chatting with a local television station.
If we want to represent our flag for our country, then we should be able to. It's not like it has any hate or profanity to it, and I just think it's bullcrap myself.
Amen, brother. Good use of the word bullcrap. It's about the country, man, but because of somebody's perception, well, they're a little soft when they see the flag. Just crazy. Any interesting stories back to school?
Yeah. Apparently, I got a text from my husband. He was on open house duty last night, and he and at open house they put out like a giant tables as you come in. Everyone's coming in with all the lost and found from like over the last year. Hopefully, you grab your stuff. Usually, we find a water bottle or two, sweatshirt, whatever. He saw a familiar lunchbox.
How familiar?
And when he picked it up, he realized that sitting on this table, unrefrigerated, was Amelia's lunch from, I think, June.
Delicious.
And he's like, look what I found. And I said, throw that directly in the trash.
What was in it?
But
an uneaten lunch.
Before you throw it away, what do?
Oh, he looked at it,
Absolutely.
and he said, I think this had vegetables in it, and he said it was just like brown liquid goo. And I just want to, a public service announcement for all my friends at Southern Boone. If my kid leaves a lunch, you don't have to keep it for 2 months. You can throw it away, and we deserve that.
Well, and what's even funnier about that is Amelia was in the studio a couple weeks ago, and she needed a packed lunch for one of the camps she was going to. And Mr. Bell was talking about how he couldn't find any lunch boxes, so he sent her with like a whole cooler.
We have since repurchased a bunch of new lunch boxes because we had lost ours and we weren't quite sure where it was. Well, we found it, although we are not going to keep that one.
I had left my lunchbox with a frozen like TV dinner in it in my dad's car one time, and he couldn't figure out what the smell was coming from.
Oh.
And he wasn't very happy with me.
Both of my cars right now have that like smell, and I'm like, there is something in here. I just don't know what the kids put here.
But that human nature. Before I throw away this lunchbox, it's several months old. I gotta open it up and see what. Like, you cannot not do that.
And poor Chris, I've been telling him, I'm like, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, quit throwing my stuff away. We can, fix things or mend things or whatever. And I think he was really trying, and he opened it, and I was like, that's a goner.
So
Sorry.
like opening the fridge in the abandoned house in the summertime, huh? Let's see what's in the fridge.
Or at any time when you see like the Cool Whip container, and you're like, do I want to open this? I know it's not Cool Whip.
What's the leftovers there? You just Prosecutor Fani Willis. By the way, 4 words Trump used to describe getting his mugshot done yesterday. The 4 words, not a comfortable feeling. Good morning. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There is Stephanie Powell.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah is here.
Hello.
There's Mr. John Marsh.
Hello.
My name is Branden Rathert. Ashley Emmel, who you hear on the show here from time to time on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. She's with Compass Chiropractic. The other thing that she does a lot of work with our friends at True North, and this is an agency that deals with domestic violence. It's not just a shelter; you provide services. And our sister station, 96.7 KCMQ, is doing a big event today. What are you guys doing today?
We're doing a radiothon, so we would love for you to call in and make a donation, help True North of Columbia, which is full comprehensive for domestic and sexual assault victims.
And it's a shame because it's such a it seems like it's a shameful thing, and that's something I've never understood. When somebody's a victim of domestic violence, it's like, and I don't understand it, but it's sad that that's what happens, but it's real, and I'm not discounting it. So that's one of the things you guys do. Phone number folks want to call if they would like to help out.
Yeah, 815-7516.
815-7516. Our sister station, 96.7 KCMQ, doing a big radiothon to try to help the folks there at True North, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And Brian Houseworth is here too.
Yeah, and Ashley and Brandon, thank you. Just a quick point about this radiothon you guys are doing. We're, of course, running our newscast, but one stat to keep in mind, and I verified this with Jeremiah Hunter this week, the assistant chief, and with Mr. Seawood. 9 of Columbia's 11 homicides last year. Everybody talks about gangs and this and that. We have called 9 of the city's 11 homicides last year involved domestic violence. Mm-hmm. That is staggering, including a lady thrown 38 feet off a bridge.
815-7516. Ashley, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And if you could help out Ashley and True North, we would certainly appreciate that. Another thing we're very involved with, Central Missouri Honor Flight, and is what they do, is they take veterans and they fly them to Washington, D.C., and it's not about a field trip. It's about a bunch of veterans that have a shared experience that a lot of times they don't chat with other folks about. And one of the folks that was on the flight this week, the guy's name is Rainey. He is a World War II and a Korean War veteran. His daughter is joining us now, Libby Couper, and I wanted to bring her on real quick because she shared with the radio station here the other day about how remarkable of an experience this was. Libby, welcome into the show. What was so cool about your dad's experience?
Good morning, and it's hard to follow the fundraiser that you just spoke of because that's such a crucial thing. But this is Feel Good Friday, and so I have to say that I feel great about the experience that I just watched my dad go on over the last 10 days. It's the Central Missouri Honor Flight is the most incredible thing I've ever watched. It's so organized, and the people care so much, and it's all about the veterans. My dad is almost 95.
Oh my gosh! And he went on this honor flight.
Yes, and they took such good care of him. And there are doctors, there are nurses, there's logistical people. Most every veteran has a guardian with them.
Yeah, and that end they do incredible work. What was it like for your dad when he came back? Most of the joy he experienced. What did you feel in your heart after seeing your dad being able to experience this?
Well, 2 things in particular. One, my father's best friend was killed over in Korea. And one of the things they did and made sure of while Dad was there was that he would get to see the name of his friend on the wall, the Korean wall there. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was the fact that the team went to the trouble to make sure that happened for my dad was really important. And then my dad said he got to see things in Washington that he had never seen before. And he came back with this particular saying that I wanted to get across to your audience. And he said that going back to Washington brought the meaning of freedom back to him, and it refreshes the appreciation for your country and why so many other countries look to America for the answer to freedom.
Wow, that is powerful. And I heard your dad got to meet Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe.
He did. He did meet him. Our whole family met him when we went to pick Dan up. Very nice gentleman, and it was great of him to make the trip with everyone. And they said that he worked just as hard as all the other Guardians. So the
Lieutenant Governor, he was a Guardian on the flight. He wasn't just like at the meet and greet when they come back.
Oh, no. He went along. He was just as sweaty as everybody else was coming back into the...
Libby, hey, thank you. So we appreciate that you would call and share that story. It warms my heart when you have a daughter, especially of Mr. Lee Rainey, who is a World War II and a Korean War vet. We appreciate that you would share that experience, not just what it did for your dad, but how it made you feel. And Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, apparently listening to the show today and calling in. Mr. Kehoe, welcome into the show. How are you?
Well, good morning, Brandon and Team Libby. I'm glad you pointed out to everybody I was just as sweaty as everybody else. It was a little embarrassing.
So you got to meet this fellow who's and I think the cool thing here, a World War II veteran. We seldomly see World War II veterans on our honor flights. There are more obviously fewer and fewer that are here with us anymore. So you got to meet Mr. Lee Rainey.
I met Mr. Rainey. He was actually on our bus. We have this is my third honor flight I've been Guardian on, and our buses are, of course, red, white, and blue buses. And the red bus, by the way, is the coolest bus. And Mr. Rainey was actually also on our bus. So I interacted with him a few times during the day. And, Libby, it was sure nice to meet your family. Such a polite, courteous family that I met with, and got to shake your father's hand. And I could tell what you just said in his quote about freedom. I can tell you that all of those veterans I almost get choked up talking about it. It's incredible what those guys experience. It's fantastic.
Or as Libby described him, a sweaty Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, who was the Guardian on the honor flight.
Yeah, you could have left that part out, but it was hot that day. But you know what? The flight's about the veterans. It's not about the Guardians. It's not about the Posnells and the people who organize it. It's about the men and ladies this year. We had several women with us who have sacrificed, and being able to see their monuments, and those folks being able to interact with their buddies that they've served with or that they haven't seen for a long time. That's what the flight's about. And, Libby, when you go to the Korean War Memorial, I was pushing a Korean War veteran in a wheelchair. In granite, it says, "Freedom is not free." And he pointed at that and he said, "You know how true that is?" And that's when it gets you.
Man. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe has called into the show this morning. We had the daughter of a World War II and Korean War vet on the honor flight this week, and had a chance to meet Mr. Kehoe. He's called in to Wake Up Mid-Missouri this morning.
Governor, while we've got you on the phone, we had the Central District engineer from MoDOT on with us yesterday, and your days back chairing the Highway and Transportation Commission. She told us, kind of dropped a bombshell when we asked her about redoing the tri-level. And she said, right along with the Whitten Expressway, $90 million. Is this feasible in the short term?
That's going to have to be fixed at some point in time. I think everybody knows that. We continue to see traffic increases past the design that was designed, many decades ago. It's going to have to be fixed. It's a huge price tag, and it will be major inconvenience to the area. But it's one of those things that, when you grow, when your economy grows and your population grows and your traffic count grows, you got to fix those complicated interchanges, and that's certainly one of them, John.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe has called in the show. Since you've called in, anything else that you'd like to add real quick before we let you go?
Well, Libby, it was so great to meet you guys. That tall young man, I'm assuming, was your son. He was incredibly polite, and I've thought to myself, I hope my kids are this polite, when they're out and about. But I appreciate your father's service, and I know the welcome home your family gave him when he got there meant so much to him. It will be a memory that he cherishes, and I'm sure you guys will cherish as well. So thank him from all of us for his service, and it was a pleasure to be on with all of those veterans, including Mr. Rainey this last Monday.
And how cool is that? Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe calling into the show this morning. We appreciate you checking in, appreciate you listening. Lee Rainey One of, according to the World War II Museum, we talk about how few of these World War II veterans are left. And you hear that powerful story of what he brought back and how it moved his daughter. About 167,000, according to statistics from the National World War II Museum. 16 million Americans served in World War II. About 167,000 plus still here. We appreciate you sharing your story, Mr. Kehoe. We appreciate you calling into the show. Coming up a few minutes from now, we're going to be doing the Morning Bell. Also, 8:35, winners and losers of the week. You got somebody that you would like to nominate as a winner, somebody that you would like to nominate as a loser. 874-9390, 874-9390. Meanwhile, we're getting ready for the Morning Bell business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
You've made a lot of upgrades in your life over the last several years, Brandon, and one of those, I'm so glad you've graduated from the used Gatorade plastic bottle to this new fancy
Business news with the little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
The Futures forgot their red shirt this morning. They forgot we were celebrating Red Friday, and they are finally in the green. I feel like the last several Fridays they have been participating, and I have not appreciated that.
And we wear red. There's a reason that we wear red on Fridays. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, or you're watching on Facebook, you'll see on Fridays everybody here is wearing red, and there's a reason we do that.
Yeah, we wear red on Fridays to remember everyone deployed, and we've gotten a couple messages about Brandon's red shirt this morning.
Yep.
Little Easter egg on the video feed if you want to go check it out.
I like it. Easter egg. Oh, okay. Yeah, go check it out. Wake Up Mid-Missouri on YouTube.
You were about to read your shirt, weren't you?
Yeah, please do not.
I was going to say, what does it say? I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to look at the monitors to even see what it says.
All right.
Otherwise, because if I read it upside down, it says sad ab.
Okay.
And that's a Zimmer shirt?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Zimmer's cool.
Okay. All right. Well.
Thought it was a Kid Rock reference or something.
Interesting. You've been making a lot of upgrades in your life, and we are celebrating with you because this is your week of your anniversary, and we so appreciate that and all the hard work you put in. And
not wedding anniversary.
No, soberversary, if that's what we want to call it. So we're celebrating that with you this week. But you've been making other upgrades in your life as well. Some personal upgrades, professional upgrades. Apparently you're on this new weight loss health kick. So good on you for that. And part of your weight loss health kick, I think, is you used to drink out of a used Gatorade bottle as your water bottle. You would finish the Gatorade, rinse it out, and then carry around the plastic, and
he would take it into restaurants with him.
This is plastic and it gets reused,
but it's pretty. So you're if you're watching the video feed, you can see, and it doesn't. I think these it doesn't like leach chemicals from the plastic water bottle into your water. It's just not supposed to.
Yeah, there's a difference between single-use plastic and reusable.
Yeah, but so I quit using the other plastic bottle and use this plastic bottle, and that's how I've lost all this weight.
Because you care about the environment and you want to use a multi-use water bottle. That's what you told me. But both industries are booming. Sales of single-serve water bottles reached 11.3 billion gallons in 2022. People all across the globe are upping their water intake. They also said there was more than 2 billion in reusable water bottles were sold in 2022. That's up. So we're at 2 billion now, up from 1.5 billion. Parents out there know this. During COVID, they turned off all the water fountains. And that's really like in airports, I started making sure I always had a water bottle with me, not only because of this article reports that at the Birmingham airport, a water bottle costs $4.29 with tax, but also like at school, all the kids had to have water bottles. So I didn't have a bunch. I don't know how many water bottles I purchased in the last, 4 years. It is, and how many have been left at the lost and found. A lot. But I've got and so I also I've heard this referred to, and if you're a beverage goblin like me, but the popular term for this now is EWSB.
Yes.
No, ESWB. No. ESWB. And it is it's called your emotional support water bottle.
Yes.
God.
Because I can't go anywhere without it. Like I have to have a water cup. So this is my, it's a simple modern, simply modern, but a lot of people have their Stanley. I also am a Hydro Flask girly. I have like my hiking Hydro Flask with all my travel stickers on it. I got a little baby Hydro Flask for my airplane, and I purchased then my kids were all like, we have to have a Hydro Flask. So in their little colors, and I'm like, please don't lose this one. Apparently a Hydro Flask, the big one, no, this is the Stanley, will run you $45.
Yeah. Yeah, I also, if I go through a period of time where I feel like I should be drinking more water, I always buy a new water bottle because I feel like that motivates me to drink more water. Case in point, I bought a new one this week, and it is white because I am in my bridal era, and everything must be white.
And that water bottle is so big, she used a Ford F-150 to tow it in here on a trailer.
Nah, driving a Chevy. Come on, man.
It's interesting because you say emotional.
They don't. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are difference. The planet is fine.
George Carlin, what's been interesting, one of the interesting things that have happened coming out of Hawaii following those devastating wildfires is obviously everybody like USA Today, MSNBC, it's climate change. And then people that live there saying, well, we have all this overgrowth because we don't graze here anymore. And also, the power company, when they knew there was a fire and shut off power lines and didn't do it, they are being sued again. Welcome to the show. Feel Good Friday. Stephanie Bell is here.
I am. And just this morning, Biden is going after our ceiling fans. What's up with that?
The next thing, because it's got to be somebody or something's fault. No ownership. No saying, hey, gosh.
What the fan?
That is producer Hannah.
Hello.
There's John Marsh.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Houseworth, is he in the house?
Good morning, sir.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
All right, winners and losers of the week. We have one rule when it comes to winners and losers of the week.
You can't nominate Biden for loser because that's just implied.
Yep, it's understood. Winner of the week, I'm going to pick this guy. By the way, Gary Nolan is here today at 9 o'clock. I'm picking this guy as winner of the week. I filled in on Gary Nolan's show the other day. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, who joins Gary every Wednesday at 9:30. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
That was a snort. For those of you who missed it, that was a snort by Brian Houseworth.
He knows what's coming. He was already laughing.
Well,
he's the head of your fan club. So. the guy that called in. So.
John Marsh was overturned.
Yeah. So Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft was here, and he was here in his role as Secretary of State. So we did not talk about his campaign for governor. But the other thing that was really cool about the conversation is he talked about, because we were talking about Joe Biden in Hawaii, talking about, I feel your pain because I almost lost my Corvette in that kitchen fire, which begs the question, where the hell are you parking your Corvette if she had a small kitchen fire? And I almost lost my cat. But Jay and I got talking about service and understanding it's not all about you. And that's what Joe thinks. But we were kind of related. We were talking about political and personal, too.
He is somewhat outspoken about the truth and saying, hey, do you really realize what's going on here? Then we're hiding the ball and we're not actually being polite. There's nothing wrong with speaking the truth in love, and we need more of that. And we need both more people that will speak in love and more people that aren't afraid to speak the truth. I think the greatest calling we can have in life is not to be worried about ourselves, but to act in ways that make other people better.
And that's very powerful on a human level. This guy, not as appreciative. He called in right after our conversation with Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
And I don't listen to you in your show earlier in the morning either, but that's the worst interview I've ever heard for a man that's running for governor. We all know what Biden says, what he's doing, but you could have let the man talk and maybe brought up some state issues. That's the absolute worst interview I've ever heard in my life.
Go on.
Well, I mean, I don't care for you in the morning, and I miss Gary Nolan today. I look forward to hearing Ashcroft.
So that guy is my winner, one of my winners of the week for taking the time to call and share his opinion. And we correct what he did not understand is you can't have somebody on when you are in an elected office. You're on the taxpayer's dime.
That's right.
You have to be incredibly careful about coming on and then campaigning for the next office, because if we're paying you to be Secretary of State, we're not paying you to come on and campaign for another office. And this guy, he didn't know that, but he's my winner of the week for, calling and sharing his opinion.
And that's spot on. And I think very few people would realize that. And specifically, it's because you set that interview up with his office, and therefore he was talking about basically his office in more than not the campaign.
Stephanie, you winners, losers?
Loser of the week, Asa Hutchinson. I think.
But did he meet expectations? I mean, he met my expectations in the debate because I didn't lower my expectations. I broadened my horizons. Asa Hutchinson definitely lived up to my expectations.
And I think Vivek, I mean, we've got to name him as winner of the week. He's making massive fundraising numbers. He's, I think getting a lot of support. Apparently the Google search for his name was crazy. I think he had a really good week.
Washington Post poll said the plurality of Republican voters felt that the winner of the debate that night, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Wow. That's what I thought, too. It's the Washington Post. I think they're trying to throw people off the scent of Ramaswamy. Mr. Houseworth, your winners of the week.
I've got 3 winners of the week, Brandon, and they are, in no particular order, our healthcare providers who do such a great job of helping specifically me, but all of us here. We're very lucky to have them. Columbia, Jeff City, all across mid-Missouri, thankful for those. Our officials in football. Folks, if you're going to high school football tonight, please don't scream at the officials. They're doing the best they can. They don't do it for the money. We need officials. Keep that in mind. They're also working in the heat. And last but not least, Brandon, winner of the week, 50th anniversary of the Cattleman Days Rodeo in Ashland, Missouri.
Wow.
It is incredible. The cattlemen do a great job. And little known secret, at one time when I was growing up, I wanted to be a rodeo announcer. I loved, of course, I never got to do it. I always wanted to do it. There's a guy named Butch Knowles. You could Google that name, Butch Knowles, that does some stuff on CBS. I love his work. He's incredible, but they should have great crowds. The food is beyond anything I've had.
And you can get your pre-sale tickets. It's going to be hot,
right.
But that thing sells out. Brian, you should have. We can call the optimist.
I was
going to
say.
I think we need to sign Brandon up as a rodeo clown.
There we go.
It's always a good event, though. So
Speaking of important anniversaries, though, Brandon celebrated an important one this week. I feel bad because I had it in my head that today was the anniversary, and it would appear I was 2 days off. But this week, Brandon, you celebrated your 3rd year of sobriety.
I celebrated in a fine fashion.
Good for you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And I don't care about the length of time. I appreciate that's very sweet that you guys would acknowledge it, because as somebody I'm serious, destined to die a drunk. Seriously, and what I've done in the past 3 years, for me, it's not about stopping. It wasn't just about the stopping drinking. Like, I started living. I think I treat people differently, and I have a different reaction to life. It's just what I have done, and I will always say, if you or somebody you know has the challenge with drinking, like they're trying to quit and they can't, it causes problems. Really, Hannah has taken phone calls, 874-9390. We'll get your info off air and we'll chat with you later. Mr. Marsh or Hannah, winners, losers of the week?
Well, I was just going to say, I will never forget August 24th or 23rd.
Yeah.
That day on the show is a very important day in your life, and it was a little scary that day, but
that was a crazy morning. So I had two friends that had heard, because we've played the audio from time to time of that morning, and it wasn't just that morning. It was the preceding 40 to 45 years that led up to that morning. But I played the audio, and they both said, man, I remember like the first year you guys played that audio, and it was kind of interesting. But now it just feels uncomfortable to hear that anymore from that morning. Marsh, winners, losers?
How about one loser and a couple of winners?
Gotcha.
Give you the loser first. St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones pushing a bill that would prohibit what she calls, quote, military-grade weapons on St. Louis city streets and make it a crime for insurrectionists. And then those convicted of hate crimes to possess those firearms. Andrew Bailey says, see you in court. And on our winter side, how about the EMS crew, the ambulance crew from Audrain County, hauling a patient down I-70 to a Columbia hospital? The ambulance started on fire. They were able to get the patient themselves out safely, and nobody hurt, but they're down one ambulance.
That's true.
Oh, gosh.
That's true.
Did I, Hannah? Winners, losers?
The folks working the radiothon today, the True North Radiothon, our sister station KCMQ, has helped organize that with Atterbury Auction and Brian Ware Plumbing. We have lots of volunteers in the building today manning the phone banks. If you want to donate to True North of Columbia, I will have that info up on the Wake Up Facebook page very shortly.
Sounds good.
And if you'd like to help, 815-7516, 815-7516. Garth is in Jefferson City. Who you got for winners and losers of the week, Garth?
I think losers, I'll start with kind of a somber note. I think we're all losers because of this whole Trump deal. I think democracy in general is the loser. So for all of us that truly believe in democracy and we don't live in a banana republic, I think we all became losers this week.
Okay, and then winners?
Winners, I would say it's going to be me because I get to go home finally and get to go and see Fred the dog. So I think I'm the winner this week.
Fred the dog. Hey, we appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Coming
Thank you, Garth.
In leftovers, I think leftovers, we have some more winners and losers we can share with you. Maybe some other things we didn't get a chance to get to. And if you want to help out with the big
Overs. Enjoy.
All right, some of the things we did not get a chance to get to. I'm continuing with some winners and losers of the week, and I wanted to include a couple of folks, and this is interesting. So Stephanie Bell versus Nicki Minaj versus Stephanie Bell. Stephanie S. Bell versus Nicki Minaj versus Stephanie Bell. Crazy story this week while you were up at the debate. What happened?
I was sitting at dinner about an hour before we were supposed to show up, and my phone started blowing up, and it was not very nice. I had posted a picture of my badge, and a bunch of people were telling me to, can I say it on the radio, Hannah? Step outside.
You can say step outside. Not sure you can say what they were calling you.
Oh, it was a bad word. It was not a bad word, but a bad word. And they were saying, square up. We want to fight you. We're coming for you. We know where you live.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah, it was something like that. So I was like, are they that triggered by the Republican debate? What's going on? And are they here for me? Now I posted where I am.
So here's a young lady from the heart of Missouri in America's heartland getting ready to go to this debate, and all of a sudden her Twitter starts blowing up because people are coming after this young lady from Ashland.
And then I figure out it has something to do with Nicki Minaj, and I'm like, I didn't say anything bad about Nicki Minaj. Does she hate Republicans? I have no idea. Anyway, Nicki Minaj has posted on her Twitter, she'd recently been swatted, which is where someone calls in a fake call to the government, so that way then they come to your house. Apparently had to do with her kids. And she has taken legal action against the person who's swatting her. And now there's a warrant out for arrest of the person who's making these fake calls. That person has the name Stephanie Bell. So Nicki Minaj tweeted the name Stephanie Bell. Nicki's followers because she just had that song called Barbie. Were they all, were they Barbies or Barbs before that? I'm not sure. Anyway.
I'm not sure.
Barbs is the Nicki Minaj version of Swiftie. But all the Barbs came for me. And then they quickly figured out that I was not the same Stephanie Bell. And then now they just love me. And they're like, I said, hey, ladies, no disrespect, but I think, and they were like, we made a mistake. I'm like, we all make mistakes, much love to you. I hope you find this gal, because swatting is not cool.
They hated you, and then all of a sudden they loved you.
They called her their white queen.
White Republican queen.
Yes.
So it was pretty cool. We got an email this week from a guy, and I bring it up because he's somebody that basically we don't always agree, and we've got a history on text. Guy's name is Gary, and he just said, I don't see anything negative what you do. It's entertainment at times, informative what you guys do at times, and I love this. He's honest enough, and yes, you're placating to the base at times, and but what appeals to me is you stick with your principles and the truth, even when not the most popular. For example, he goes on to talk about the gas tax refund every year. People complain about gasoline taxes. He says, on the principle, you spend an hour to get your $39 back, which is what I got this year. But the point being, it's not what he's saying about me, but it's somebody that, we didn't agree at first, whatever. We had beef. Not on the level of Stephanie Bell and Nicki Minaj. And then he goes on to say, the big guy raised you right. I appreciated that. And then this off the text yesterday that Hannah highlighted from listener Darren. And he was referencing the guy who called in and said that I suck and he never listens and all that. He says, I thought Ashcroft made some good comments in a conversation that you facilitated when you guys first came on. I didn't like you. Either you or I changed. I think you guys do a great job. Keep up the good work. I thought that was really cool. Marsh, you got anything for leftovers?
Yeah. We can put this guy down as another loser of the week. Kingdom City man rearrested after an investigation into a stolen tractor, a front-end loader, and a car hauler trailer all stolen. Combined value of $25,000. The farmer they were stolen from was asked by law officers, how did you find out where this guy was? And he said he posted it on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh.
From KRCG, court documents showing that a guy called Callaway County Joint Communications to report several items stolen from his Kingdom City property, including this 1985. How do you steal a tractor? That's pretty impressive, actually. Not impressive to the victim, but stealing a tractor, I'm guessing it's not like stealing a Hyundai or a Kia.
Yeah, he could have put it up on the trailer he stole right along with it.
Well, and speaking of stolen Kias, there was the Shakespeare's Pizza delivery car that went missing. And just a couple minutes after it was posted as missing on Facebook, they located it in St. Louis. And it's got Shakespeare's Pizza stickers all down the side of it. It's not very inconspicuous.
So, a legal question this morning for our legal friend, and I know that you do not practice in the criminal realm, but can you be charged for being a dumbass?
You should be. You should be, honestly. I have another winner of the week. Yesterday, the Southern Boone football and soccer teams got to go out on the new turf field for the first time. Last time I saw it, it was not looking ready, but apparently it was kind of broken in yesterday, and it's going to be really exciting. I've been to those games. It's been packed, so everyone who's really excited for Friday Night Lights, I know in Ashland, people are super excited about having a little bit more space and a really nice new field.
Oh, so even after the great labor strike in Ashland of 2023, they were able to get that done on time?
I mean, I haven't seen the rat as of late.
There you go.
One of the things, and by the way, as I understand, most high school games for tonight are delayed. Typically, they start at 7 on a Feel Good Friday. I think a lot of them push back to 8 o'clock hour.